Okay, so now today we're going to review special right triangles. You should have seen these last year in Math 2 also, and but they are something that kids sometimes struggle with, so it's a good idea to go back and review these in Math 3. And again, it's something you definitely need to know for pre-calculus and for sure for calculus. So you do need to pay attention in this lesson and practice the problems. Okay, so special right triangles, there's two different special right triangles that we study, and they both are related to the sine, cosine, and tangent, but they just have a shortcut. And the shortcut for this is called an isosceles right triangle because the non-right angles are both 45 degrees. So we call this a 45, 45, 90 right triangle. Um, I always say right triangle, you don't need to. So 40, 40, 45, 45, 90 triangle has the two sides are the same length, and then the hypotenuse is related to those sides because it's the hypotenuse is the side length times the square root of 2. So you've got your legs, and let's call those legs instead of S because S looks like a 5. So we're going to call that leg. So leg times the square root of 2 is the length of the hypotenuse. So if I know one of these, I can get the rest of them. That's basically what I can do. So copy this picture down on your paper, on your notes, or on your in your notebook if you didn't print out the notes, and then copy these ratios: L for the two legs, and L squared to 2, L squared to 2 for the hypotenuse. So let's look at the steps to solve a special right triangle. You always take your formulas and label what you know, what you're given in the problem. So based on those two sides, side, and hypotenuse is side square root of 2, and label what you know. So set the known side equal to the formula, solve for S. Then you'll plug it in to get the other pieces. So what does that look like? Well, here's a 45, 45, 90, and usually you'll know because they'll label them. If they don't, they will just tell you that these two sides are the same length. If they label it that way, you'll know it's 45, 45, 90 also. So it looks like we know one of the sides, so that's L, and I know that, and I need to find this, and I know that is L square root of 2. Well, let's think about this. I know that L equals 9. So how could I get H? Well, H is just going to be whatever L is times the square root of 2. So H is going to be 9. Plug that 9 in for L. 9 square root of 2. You can leave it just like that. You don't have to do anything else. You will be having to simplify radicals in this unit, so you're going to have to get used to this, but for that problem you don't have to. So next one is a 45, 45, 90. And I know the hypotenuse is x, and one of the sides is 2 square root of 2. So let's label what we know. We know this is L, and this is L square root of 2. Notice I put the formula from the special right triangle on the side that it is appropriate. Well, it looks like to find x, I need to know what L is. And I know that L is 2 square root of 2. So I'm going to take that and plug it in for L. So let's see, that's going to look a little funny. 2 square root of 2 times the square root of 2. Well, what's square root of 2 times the square root of 2? Square root of 2 times the square root of 2. Let's turn this on and just plug that in. So square root of 2 times the square root of 2. That equals 2. Well, that makes sense because when you multiply two square roots together, you do square root of 2 times square root of 2. That would be square root of 4. Undo the square root, and the square root of 4 is 2. So let's look at, this is 2 times 2, which is 4. So x equals 4. Okay, go ahead and try this one, and then come back. Try this one, stop the video, try this one, and then come back. Okay, so let's look at this. We've got a side, so I know this leg. I'm going to solve for that leg. I know the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is, I'm sorry, I don't know why I wrote that, L square root of 2. This one is a little tricky because if you did this on your own, you probably got stuck. Why did I do that? It's L square root of 2. So let's see, 6 equals L square root of 2. Well, I need L. I need to figure out how to get L. Well, I'm just going to divide by that square root of 2. Divide by square root of 2. So right now L is 6 divided by the square root of 2. But you can't leave a radical in the bottom of a fraction like this. So we call this rationalizing the denominator. How do I make that not a square root? Well, remember, if you multiply both the top and bottom of a fraction by the same thing, and in this case I'm going to multiply it by the denominator that I don't want there, because we just found out if I multiply a square root by itself, it just undoes a square root. So if I do square root of 2 times the square root of 2, I'm going to have 4 on the bottom. So this is going to be like 6 square root of 2 over 4. And then I just reduce 6 over 4. The square root of 2 stays square root of 2 because that's under the radical. But the 6 over 4 can be reduced to 3 over 2. So this is really 3 square root of 2 over 2. That would be your final answer. So that's what x equals. So that's what x equals because x is equal to L. Alright, next problem. The length of the hypotenuse of 45, 45, 90 is 10. What is the length of one leg? Well, now we have to draw the picture. So the length of the hypotenuse is 10. What is one of the legs? Since the legs are the same, it doesn't matter, right? So now we know this is L square root of 2. Try doing this one without me and then come back now that you saw me do the previous one. So if you came back and after you tried it, you set this equal and you divide both sides by square root of 2, you got L is going to be 10 over square root of 2, but since you can't leave it like that, we'll multiply by square root of 2 over square root of 2. And that gives me 10 square root of 2 on top and 4 on the 2 on the bottom. I just did this one wrong, didn't I? Did you catch me? That's 2. So this is just 3 square root of 2. Sorry about that. So this is 2. 10 square root of 2 over 2 is 5 square root of 2. So L is 5 square root of 2. Okay, so now turn off the video and try these, any 3 of them. And let's just do 7, 8, and 9. Let's see. 7, 8, and 9. Let's do 7, 9, and 11. 7, 9, and 11. 7, 9, and 11. Okay, so if you turned it off and came back, we're going to do number 7 first. So number 7, I know the legs, and I'm looking for the hypotenuse. And that's L square root of 2. Well, x is equal to L, and L is equal to 8. So as L is 8, so x is 8, and y is going to be just 8, because I plugged that in here, that 8 in here, 8 square root of 2. So that's your answer. X is 8, and y is 8 square root of 2. Okay, how about number 9? Well, let's see. This is L, and this is L. L square root of 2. So let's see what we know. We know y is L square root of 2, and L is 60. So if L is 60, y is going to be 60 square root of 2. And that's it. Pretty easy. Number 11, now you're going to have to rationalize that denominator. So 11, we just did this one because it's 10 again. So you should have already remembered how to do it. So this is L, and this is L square root of 2. We know from the problem on the previous page that L is going to be 5 square root of 2. So x is 5 square root of 2. Make sure you understand how I did that part, because that's what you're going to have to know for this unit, how to rationalize the denominator. Okay, the other type of special right triangle is called a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. So your sides are not the same length. Your legs are not the same length. So the shorter leg is the leg that's opposite the 30-degree angle, obviously, because it's opposite the smaller angle, is going to be our L. And this is going to be L square root of 3. And this is going to be 2L. The hypotenuse is equal to 2L. Short side is L. Long leg is L times the square root of 3. So hypotenuse is 2 times the shorter leg. Longer leg is square root of 3 times the shorter leg. Copy this down on your paper, and then let's do some examples. Find the values in the simplest radical form. So we're not going to have decimals, we're going to have simplest radical form. So they tell us these are all 30, 60, 90s. We've got F, which is the hypotenuse. So that was, the hypotenuse, remember, was 2L. The hypotenuse is 2 times the shorter leg. So 2L. Shorter leg is D in this case. So the longer leg is L square root of 3. So it looks like we're going to have to solve for L using that. So L square root of 3 equals 5. So I have to divide by square root of 3. And I can't leave it like that, so I multiply by square root of 3 over square root of 3. So L is going to be 5 square root of 3 over 3. So since F is 2L, D is 5 square root of 3 over 3. Now what about F? F is 2L, so F is 2L, 2 times 5 square root of 3 over 3. Okay, remember when you multiply an integer by a fraction, it's like multiplying an integer over 1, you multiply the numerators, so 2 times 5 square root of 3 would just be 10 square root of 3. And the bottom is 1 times the square root of 3, or just 3. Or 1 times 3, which is just 3. So 10 square root of 3 over 3. Okay, the next example, we've got our hypotenuse, which is 2L, and our shorter side, which is L. Cool, we don't have to mess with that square root of 3. So 2L is 6. 6 equals 2L. So L is going to be 3. So X equals L, which is 3. Okay, that was an easier one. This one, the last one, is a little tricky because they gave us an isosceles, well, actually it's an equilateral triangle, and split it in half. So when we split it in half, that actually split this angle in half, which made it each of these halves a 30-degree angle, making this triangle a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. So that means this is the shorter leg, this is the hypotenuse, which is 2L, and X is L square root of 3. Okay, so how do I solve for L? 12 is 2L, which means L is 6. So X is going to be 6 square root of 3. Just plug it in. Okay. On these practice problems, let's see, I want you to do, they made them all pretty easy for you. Let's do 15. It's a pretty easy one. Let's do 17. Let's just do the odds again. 15, 17, and 19. Okay, turn it off, try the problems, and then come back. Okay, the first problem, I know this is 2L because it's the hypotenuse, which means L is 10. So this is L, and this is L square root of 3, because that longer leg is L square root of 3. So L is 10, so that means X equals 10, and Y is going to be 10 square root of 3. 17, sorry. 17, let's see, this is hypotenuse, so it's 2L, L, and L square root of 3. Okay, let's see. L is going to be 5 because it's half of the hypotenuse, so L is 5. So X is 5. Y is going to be L square root of 3, so it's going to be 5 square root of 3. Okay, so those are the answers to that one. And then 19, let's see, this is L square root of 3, this is L, and this is 2L. Well, how do I get L here? How do I solve for L? Well, I got to divide by that square root of 3, which means the square root of 3's are just going to drop out on both sides, which means L equals 2. So y equals 2, because y equals L, and x is going to be 2L, so 2 times 2, which is 4. And I believe that's it. Yep. So go ahead and do the practice problems and hand those in, and then you'll be able to move on to the next lesson. Make sure you mark complete for this section.